I thought it was fascinating to touch upon, as Rothbard does, this idea of hoarding money. That somehow if money's just sitting there in cash balances in your bank account, it's not conferring any benefit on society. And there's an analogy here to the Bitcoin community, which talks about hodling. Just buy your Bitcoin and keep it. And there's I guess in mainstream economics, there's a deep concern and a fixation on this idea of velocity of money and money bouncing around between people. And Rothbard thinks this is nonsense. So how should we think about hoarding, and how should we think about why people hold cash balances?
The way a lot of even economists, but certainly the general public tend to think about money is, like a rich person, how does he contribute to society? Well, because he goes out and spends money, and that causes, creates jobs or things like that. And that's the idea that they have in mind. And like you say, Jeff, that if you're a little bit more technically minded, you say, so it's the velocity of circulation. So it's like the dollar bills moving from hand to hand. That's what generates prosperity. And so in that framework, then somebody who's a hoarder, somebody who just sells stuff to obtain money and then just puts it in his vault, or piles gold coins up in the basement like Scrooge McDuck, that's the most antisocial thing you can imagine. And so what Rothbard points out is that, well, no, in terms of the sort of analysis that Austrians favor, in terms of like just modeling or explaining like the equilibrium price of a unit of money, for example, the way you do it is just supply and demand. And so the supply of money is what it is. It's, again, at a given time, there's a certain stock of money. And then the demand for it is what? It's the demand to hold it. And so at any given point, every piece of money in the economy is in someone's possession, right? So there's no such thing as money, quote, in circulation. At any moment, you can identify the owner of any particular unit of money. And so what happens when you buy something, it's not that the money is in circulation, it's that you're just making an exchange, right? That the money was in your cash balance, and now you make a trade, and now it's in somebody else's cash balance. And so they had to be willing to accept the money. And so that's the way you go through it. And then when you just analyze, like, why do people want to hold money? Well, it's because it confers services. That's why you would accept it in a trade. And so you have utility from money being in your possession. And once you start thinking of it like that, which again is a perfectly acceptable way, and this isn't some like idiosyncratic Austrian way of doing it. Mises got this approach, incorporated from other people as well. Like, this is standard stuff. Once you think of it that way, you realize that the distinction between a so-called hoarder and a normal person is just one of degree. There's not a qualitative difference. It's a hoarder just means somebody who wants to carry larger cash balances than the rest of us think are normal. It's just kind of like, just even putting aside the issue of money, just in general, so you deride your neighbor as, oh, that guy's a hoarder, by which you mean, oh, look, he doesn't throw stuff. Well, he does throw some things out, and your house isn't completely bereft of any items whatsoever. You have cans of tuna fish in your pantry. You've got more toilet paper than you need that day in your house. So you're a hoarder too. And so when you deride your neighbor as a hoarder, all you just mean is he has larger stockpiles of these things than I do. So it's the same thing with money. You have, everyone listening to us right now probably has some cash in their wallet, or, in their piggy bank or something under the mattress, what have you. So you're hoarding cash as well. Isn't that antisocial? And the point is, no, prices and so forth can adjust. And the mere act of spending money doesn't make us richer. It's producing things. That's what adds wealth to society.